Reddit CEO says paywalls are coming soon. Wait, what? Reddit's a platform, put up a premise. Just a minute. There you go. Premise in this video, Ask Me Anything session, CEO Steve Huffman followed the company's quarterly earnings report, which went poorly. The founder and executive said Reddit is actively testing ways to make some content require payment to access and plans to roll out a paid subreddit feature later this year. Oh, God. Only Reddit? I guess so. Where does this come from? In shitification? This is the exact example that I always want to see. Reddit is stupid? Yeah, it's absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, I don't understand how is that even possible? Oh my God. And that's pathetic. They can't generate enough ad revenue? Well, I mean, it went poorly. Like, let's see how their stock is doing now. Because I saw it a couple of days ago. How'd it go? It seems like it's still up. Like, after the earnings report, it went down, but then it seemed to recover, and it looks like there's been a drop of, like, maybe, I don't know, so, like, you're looking at 220 to, like, 195. So, like, what's that? Somewhere around 10% about? If Reddit makes the Asmongold Reddit to be a place for there? Well, I don't want to have to go to... The thing is, I like Reddit as a platform, but I just don't like the way that it's moderated and the people that are running it. That's the big issue that I think that I have for it, right? And yeah, the paid content model is a work in progress, but mentioned it would be one of the new keystones the company intends to introduce in 2025. Last year, the company said it was looking into building a new type of subreddit that would have exclusive content or private areas. Who is asking for this? Nobody wants this at all. It's insane. Shareholders asked for it? Well, I think that the big thing that a lot of people are afraid of is that they're afraid of Reddit turning into... They're afraid of Reddit turning into a platform that is basically monetized and, like, controlled. And there are benefits that people get from Reddit. Like, for example, a lot of people, their main benefit that they get from Reddit is that they can look up a problem and then they can get an immediate solution to it. So I think that the fear with something like this is that a collection of, or even some of the most visited, like instances of this are in fact, what do you call it? Are in fact going to be paywalled. And like, that's really basically the main issue. But I do think that like Reddit, and this is the problem with a lot of these companies, is that these are these are public companies that people want the number to constantly go up in. And what happens with a lot of these platforms is that they reach basically market saturation, where these platforms have so many people on them, and like everybody here has either made a Facebook or decided not to make a Facebook. Is there anybody here who is not aware of Facebook and doesn't really know what Facebook is? You haven't really made that decision yet. No, right? And so that's the thing. And so certain products reach a peak, and then that's it. You know, buy Reddit, please. I don't think that Elon needs to buy Reddit or anything else. I just think that Reddit needs to, and this is the reason why. So it's very obvious that ad companies trend towards being more liberal. And I think that the reason why Reddit ended up censoring a lot of the conservative subreddits is because of ad revenue. I actually don't think that Reddit has like a very strong stance on political ideology. I'm sure that probably some of their newer employees that they've adopted and brought into the company since they've kept this policy do have that same viewpoint themselves. But in a lot of cases, I think that the fact is that many of them, what do you call it? Like many of them just simply want to make money. That's all it is. They just simply want to make money, and that's all that matters. Enough of the Elon shit. Fucking Spurg sympathize with his retardation too much. Well, I'm just saying, like, in general, like, having Elon Musk buy Reddit, I find it to be problematic, and I think everybody should find it to be problematic. I think social media needs to be regulated in general. And this is, like, a very big problem that social media has, is that it ends up not being regulated. And then you have somebody like Elon Musk, or the people that controlled Twitter before Elon Musk, that use social media in ways that, like, you have every single, basically, country in the world that has a Twitter account, an X account. And I think that because of that, it kind of goes to show that it's extremely fucking strong and it's very powerful. And so when you have a tool like that that's so powerful that can control things, like, I mean, telephones are regulated, the internet is regulated, everything else is regulated. So why is it that social media is special and it shouldn't be regulated? I think that there should be some adherence to a degree of best practices that are in the best interest of the public. And another big reason why I think that it like utilities, yeah, I think it is utility in a certain case. The reason why also is because a lot of these companies, they basically exist inside of a monopoly. It's very hard for other people to compete against them. And I think that makes it to where, yeah, you do need to have some level of government intervention. I know a lot of people don't like regulation, but in a lot of cases, I actually think regulation is a good thing. And in my opinion, I think people disliking regulation is like a fish not liking water. It surrounds you everywhere. Everything that you have is regulated. So it's just weird. Isn't regulation a nicer word for censorship? No. So, like, basically, social media platforms enjoy a tremendous amount of privileges because of their ability to, what do you call it? Because of their ability to, like, not get prosecuted for Section 230. I think that's probably the biggest one, right? Where it's like this company is not being held accountable for... It's not being held accountable for copyrighted platform content on the platform. And I think that when a company needs to have privileges to exist, it also needs to have accountability that come with those privileges as well. And I feel like that's a very reasonable perspective to have. That's a very reasonable, middle-of-the-road, fair perspective to have. Anyway, let's see here. Well, I agree that how would that regulate, but at the same time, keep the freedom of speech as a whole. I think the idea would be for, like, for example, if a... Like, let's think about a hypothetical, okay? If an internet service provider, an ISP, decides to stop everybody from accessing Fox News media, I would consider that a very big problem. And now that these places are operating as utilities, and they can effectively freeze certain people out, or they just stop this, like a utility. Like, let's take a step even farther back from that. Let's say they don't give you water, or they're not going to give you electricity if you have certain political viewpoints, right? I would consider this obviously like a massive, you know, manipulation of power. And ISP did that to Kiwi Farms, so I'm not sure. I think in some cases, the only cases where I think it makes sense is if the company is actively breaking the law and not doing anything to get rid of the things that are breaking the law, because if they don't do that, it would put them at risk, because now they would be potentially, you know, cooperating with these people knowing that they are breaking the law. So does that make sense? Don't you see it as a problem that American media is so biased? It's bought by both political parties? I think everybody sees that as a problem. There's nobody who doesn't see that as a problem. I'm very confused. Of course that's the case. Yeah, I mean, everybody thinks that. And ever since Trump won, Reddit's become even more of a cesspool. Yeah, people are very unhappy on Reddit. And I think self-regulation is good enough, especially if it's in smaller subreddits. How people not understand the difference between regulation and moderation. I think that a lot of people, like, regulation is one of those words that when people hear it, they kind of are like either like pro for it or like against it without actually a lot of thinking involved at all. And I think that's the case.